We're going to begin by chopping up a 1/3 cup of peanuts. And I love using my little chopper cup that comes with my immersion blender. So we'll just drop those peanuts right inside and then put on the lid to my blender, set it to a high power, pop that on top, and it only takes about 10-15 seconds. There we go. And now we have these finely chopped peanuts for the granola. So we'll start with our mixing bowl. We're going to add all of our dry ingredients. We'll dump those peanuts right inside. We're going to start by adding 3½ cups of oats. I like to use the old-fashioned oats because the flakes are a little bit bigger, and I just think it makes for an easier to eat cereal. So we'll dump those inside our bowl here. Next, we're going to add our second superfood, which is 3 tablespoons of chia seeds. And then we're going to add 2 tablespoons of coconut sugar. And I find that this sugar just adds a little bit of that crunchy texture that we're familiar with in granola. And then to add flavor, we're going to add 2 teaspoons of cinnamon and a ½ teaspoon of salt. Then we're going to give a quick stir to all of our dry ingredients. It'll just make it all come together once we add the wet ingredients. For our wet ingredients, I find it works best if they're on the warm side and a little bit melted. So you could either do this over a stovetop or do it in the microwave like I'm going to do. So I'm starting with a microwave safe dish, and I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. And I'm in Phoenix, and the fact that my coconut oil is solid right now at room temperature means it's obviously not summertime. And we'll add a 1/4 cup of some natural peanut butter. I don't want any added sugar at this point. And then we'll add a 1/4 cup of honey. And this is going to be our natural sweetener. And to add more flavor, we'll add 1 teaspoon of vanilla. This next ingredient is optional, but I find it really adds just a little bit more flavor. And that's adding about 1/8 teaspoon of some almond extract. And it's really subtle, but just gives it a little bit more fragrance and a little bit more flavor. You know what? That wasn't quite enough. I'm going to go with a full 1/4 teaspoon. So now I'm going to put this in the microwave for about 30 seconds just to warm and melt these ingredients. Now that these ingredients are warmed up, we're just going to give them a quick stir. And if our peanut butter hasn't quite blended in, we can just mash it to the side of our bowl. Now we'll take our bowl of our dry ingredients, and now we're just going to pour in our wet ingredients. And now let's give that a nice stir. And we just want to coat all of the oats with our wet mixture. That smells so good. I can smell the peanut butter and the honey, and then just getting a little bit of a hint of that almond extract that I added in. This is going to taste so good. Now, if you've been paying close attention, you'll notice I haven't added one very important ingredient yet, and that's our chocolate chips. And believe me, I did not forget. There are so many different varieties of chocolate chips available. I'm using these chocolate chips made by Hue that are actually date sweetened. And I'm using these to reduce the overall sugar amount in this granola. Now we'll just dump those in. Give that a quick stir. All right, that looks amazing. It's ready to go onto our cookie sheet. I've lined a cookie sheet with a sheet of parchment paper that will make this so much easier. We're just going to take our bowl with all of our granola, and we're going to dump this right in the middle. And then we're going to gently spread this around. And you'll want to make sure that your parchment paper is larger than your cookie sheet. It's going to make it so much easier for maneuvering the granola. So we'll just evenly spread this out. Make sure it gets all the way out into the corners, because we want all those oats to get nice and crispy. Now I'm also looking for little clumps of the chocolate chips. They're having a little party over here in this corner, but I want those to be evenly distributed throughout my granola. So we gotta break up this party. Now we're gonna put this into a 325-degree oven for 16 minutes, but we're actually gonna set our timer to 8 minutes because we're gonna want to go in and stir it around to make sure the outsides are not browning more than the inside. After the timer goes off, we're gonna take our pan out of the oven, and then using our parchment paper, we're gonna mix that granola around so that the outer edges come into the center. This is where it really comes in handy to have that parchment paper. I spread this out all the way to the edges so we get nice and thin. So if we have any big, thick areas, they're going to stay a little bit moist, and we want everything to be nice and dry and crispy and crunchy. Now it's ready to go back into the oven. Now we'll take our cookie sheet out, and since I have granite, I can set my sheet right on the counter. And then we can take our parchment paper and just slide it up onto our cooling rack, and then just wait for our chocolate to cool off. I've allowed this to completely cool on my counter. And as you can see, the chocolate has melted and created these clumps of granola that are so tasty. Now for the best part. Nice and crunchy. Probably hear it through my microphone. Okay, let me finish chewing and then I'll talk. Toasting the oats really brings out that rich oat flavor, and I get the peanut butter, I get a little bit of crunch from the crushed peanuts, as well as the chia seeds, and then I'm getting just enough sweetness from the chocolate and the honey, and just that little bit of coconut sugar. That is delicious. One of my favorite ways to eat granola is just in a bowl with a little bit of almond milk. And you could use regular milk, or you could use almond milk, or really any milk that you like. Probably should have opened this before I started filming. There we go. All right, so let's pour a little bit of milk in here. It's soaking up a little bit of that milk, and it's kind of rehydrating a little bit of the oats. That is so good. It totally reminds me of dipping a cookie into a glass of milk that I did as a kid. Okay, maybe not that long ago too. And part of the method to my madness of putting it on a parchment paper is being able to easily transfer it to your bowl. You can lift up the granola. Quick and easily get into our bowl, and there's no waste. As promised, here's the bonus serving suggestion. So I'm going to start with a bowl here, and I'm going to mix in some homemade Greek yogurt. Of course, you don't have to use homemade, but I love making it, and you'll have to look up my video and showing how I make it. Okay, so that's about 1/3 of a cup of yogurt. And then I'm going to come in with about the same of some whipped cream cheese. Yes. And then I'm going to give this a squirt of honey just to sweeten it up a little bit. And if you put it on your spoon, you can tell how much you're putting in. So that's about, we'll call that a teaspoon of honey. So now we're just going to mix that around vigorously. I'm a little excited about this. So we're going to start by adding in a layer of our granola. So let's go ahead and grab some of this. So that's about, how much is that? That's almost about a 1/2 cup serving. There we go. Yum. Okay, now we're going to give it a scoop of our mixture of Greek yogurt and cream cheese with some honey. Oh yeah. And then it's going to kind of ooze down into the little crevices around the granola. That is beautiful. Okay, next I want to add some banana, because what goes better with peanut butter than bananas? So open this up, and I want these pieces to be a little bit on the smaller side so they're easy to chew or easy to put onto a spoon. I'll finally chop those. Oh, that smells so good. Okay, so I want to just kind of sprinkle some of those bananas down there on top. Just going to add flavor and nutrition and aesthetic. That's always important because we eat with our eyes. I want to drizzle some peanut butter on there, because why not? Ooh, yeah. Just enough for aesthetic. There we go. Got a little messy on the side. That's okay. That will be mine. All right, and then just to top it off, to let them know there's chocolate inside, I'm just going to take a few little mini chocolate chips and we'll sprinkle those on top. Oh my goodness, that is so cute. That is gorgeous. That looks so good. So pretty, I don't even want to try it. Okay, well, I'm going to leave that pretty, and instead I'm just going to make a biteful. Now I know there's probably a fancy word for that, but I'm not sure what it is. Like mousse bouche or something like that. But we'll start with our granola, and then add a nice plop. That's a measurement, right? A plop of our cream cheese mixture, and then bananas. Throw on 2 of those. Now I need to add a little bit of the peanut butter. Yes, I want 3 little mini chips. Okay, 4. That works. Oh man. Wow. Okay, I'll finish chewing and then I'll talk. It just gives the crunch of the granola with lots of flavor, and then you get the smooth creaminess and a little bit of cream cheese flavor, and then you get the banana, which is just really fresh and sweet, and then you get a little bit of peanut butter, and then just those couple of chocolate chips. Oh man, that is firing on all cylinders. I will call that a very successful experiment. And it's so pretty, you can almost serve that as a dessert. And now for the sugar comparison. This is one of my favorite brands that I love, and I want to point out though that on the nutrition facts, their serving size is only 1/4 of a cup. So when you are reading the nutrition facts, realize that they are telling you how much is in 1/4 of a cup. Now I don't know about you, but that's almost like 2 bites. So I think a more realistic serving is going to be 1/2 of a cup. There we go. So there's 1/2 of a cup of the competitor and 1/2 a cup of my recipe. The store-bought granola is sweetened with cane sugar, and it has 12 grams, which is equal to 3 cubes of sugar. My granola recipe is sweetened with honey and with coconut sugar, and there's a total of about 10 grams. And I went ahead and painted these cubes brown just for the visual of comparison. Now the other big advantage of my homemade granola is that I was able to control the ingredients and able to include those superfoods, including the chia seeds and the nut butter and the oats, and also being able to customize it exactly the way that I want it. I hope this helps, and I really hope you enjoy making this recipe, and please comment below and let me know how it turns out for you. In the meantime, I'll be waking up to this very successful experiment in the morning.